announcement. And we're so glad to be here today. Thank you for joining us again for another CS Music Masterclass. We're excited to have Professor Courtney Crouse. Did I say your name right, Courtney? I hope. Um, from Oklahoma City University today. And she is going to be talking to us a little bit about replacing fear in your audition cuts, replacing that with curiosity, which I'm really excited for. I think this is going to be great. And she can tell us a little bit more about herself and yeah, just where she is. And I'll just turn the time over to you, Courtney.
Great. Thanks, Mary. I'm Dr. Crouse. I teach at Oklahoma City University. This is my 10th year there. I can't believe it. Time just flies. I teach people to sing opera and music theater. We teach it all at Oklahoma City. We have a lot of students that major in both things. As I've been teaching for the past 20-something years, a central aspect in my own practice and then with my students has been that thing that makes them tense. Like, what is causing the tension that I'm having to help them let go of? And usually it's some sort of anxiety or fear or worry about sounding good or will people like me. So helping students diagnose that and finding ways to circumvent that fear so that they can have a freer sound and enjoy the thing that they fell in love with when they were younger, that seems to be causing them problems as they get older. That's been kind of the main theme of my teaching, or a big theme of it. So what I thought I'd like to do today was first explore some of the tools that I've discovered and then open the floor up to see if you have any, because we learn from each other in this business. And then some of the tools that, really help my students may not help me, but, everybody has different things that help them. And then maybe apply it to a couple of people if they want to sing for us today. But before we do that, I want to do this little exercise that requires you to turn your camera on and off. So if everybody could turn their camera on first. And then it's a yes, no game. And you turn it off for no, and you leave it on for the answer yes. It's just a fun little game. So for example, if I said, I love pizza and you like it, you would leave your camera on. If you don't like pizza, you would turn your camera off. And if you are so about pizza, you could be like this. You're like, I'm so about it. All right. There's some people who haven't turned their cameras on. I just would love for everybody to be involved, but if you can't because of where you are, I understand that. Okay, so we'll start. Fall is my favorite season. Nice. I prefer cats over dogs. I like it when I get compliments. It depends. Oh, nice. I suffer from performance anxiety. Leave that camera on if you do. During an audition, I actively worry about what people are thinking about my singing. While I'm auditioning or performing, I actively worry about what people are thinking. During an audition, I sort of black out and don't know what happened. Okay, camera's back. After I sing, I can tell you everything that I did wrong. I always have something positive to say about my performance, something I'm proud of, always. Yes. I should have left my camera on because that's a yes. Okay. Let's see, I'm more curious than fearful about growing in my craft. Am I afraid about growing or am I curious? So I'm more curious about it. Yes. If you aren't, if you have a lot of fear. Okay. I think that the opposite of fear is fearlessness. One would think that would be it. I think the opposite of fear is bravery. All right. So, is it nice to know that we all have fears, like every single one of us? So every performer you meet, whether they act like it or not, has some sort of fear and anxiety. So we're all on the same playing field, and we all deal with fears in the same way. We have a fight or flight response. So people either get really careful or they just like push and try to prove people wrong or themselves wrong. So we all have that same human instinct. So talk to me about any of that. Is anything new to you? Like, what about the fear? The opposite of fear is bravery / fearlessness. Is that a new concept? You're welcome to just turn your mute off and start talking.
Hi. I feel like the opposite of fear is freedom. Hi.
Oh, that's nice. Thanks, Barbara. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
We would think that the opposite of fear is fearlessness, but we never can really get rid of our anxieties. They're always there. We need tools to deal with them, right? They don't go away. And one of it's part of where I got this concept about curiosity is from the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. If you haven't read it, it's magical. And it's a really lovely combination of like practical advice for creatives and kind of mystical ideas. She did not write it as a self-help book. She just wrote it as a way to articulate how she feels about living a creative life. So it's for anybody who is creative as a human, and how to live that life in the healthiest way possible. She'll say in the book, I didn't expect this to be a self-help book, which is probably why it's such a good self-help book, because it's not self-helpy. It's just, this is how I think about living creatively. And you can take the bits that really mean something to you and use it. So this is where I got the idea that the opposite of fear isn't fearlessness, but that it's bravery. It's like taking a chance to move beyond that fear, right? And jumping off that cliff into that big, beautiful lake instead of letting the fear win. So this is an amazing book. And the other thing that this book, it's another theme of my discovery about myself and about how the brains work, is that we have a negativity bias. Like because of evolution, we are set up to remember negative thoughts to protect ourselves in the future. Evolutionarily, it used to be like, I'm protecting myself so I don't do this, so a lion won't eat me, or eat this berry because it killed so-and-so, right? It's a way of protecting us. But the way our brains use it now for singing is just not helpful for us. We don't need to remember and hold on to every negative thing that happens to us in order to protect ourselves in the future. And in fact, for singing, that often makes it harder to sing the next time. If you make a mistake on a note, you're waiting to make that mistake again the next time, right? But that's just because how we're wired. So another theme that I work through with this, with fear fighting or getting fear, relegating it to the back seat rather than the driving seat in the car analogy, is to work on a positivity bias. And it's like practicing anything. You have to practice thinking positively about yourself. So after you sing, one of the things I do in my master classes, to a lot of my students' chagrin, is I say, now what did you like? Every single time. And a lot of them go, ugh, because they don't remember anything they liked, because they have a checklist of all the things that they want to improve upon. So you have to practice looking for something positive, and it changes the way you relate to your voice, the way you perform, and the way you kind of live life. I don't know if any of you have felt this way, especially maybe the teachers among us, that voice lessons are often life lessons, right? What you do in fixing your voice often relates to your life. So that's another theme I want us to think about, that we're actively retraining our brain towards a positivity bias rather than what it's, equipped for because of evolution. So how do we do that? I have a couple of tools. For the positivity bias, you can do this in your own practice. Every time you sing through a song or you've worked on an exercise, you ask yourself, what's going well? And then give yourself one thing to work on, instead of like, I still can't do this and this and this and this, right? The whole list of things that you can't do yet. Recognize what you are doing well and give yourself one thing to improve upon. I like to say an achievable goal, like something that you can do. Often we give ourselves goals that aren't achievable, and then we're just frustrated constantly in practice and performance. And then something that was in a therapy book I read is that in order to retrain this positivity bias, you need to replay the nice things that happen to you and the nice things that people say about you. So I don't know about you, but somebody can, not anymore, but used to, if somebody gave me 5 compliments and 1 negative thing, the only thing I would remember was the thing that they said I wasn't good at. The only thing. You have to actively replay the nice things people say about you too, right? Not just the mean thing. So I think that's really important, is learning. You have to practice it. You have to replay positive experiences when something goes well. Same thing, like if you look back on your life, you remember like that horrible time when you fell off your bike, but you don't remember when you loved riding your bike down the street, right? Our brains are wired to remember the bad stuff. So we have to actively change it. I know this is kind of hippy dippy kind of, right? But it really does change the manner, your relationship with your practice and your performance, and it makes it all so much more enjoyable. So if fear is, Elizabeth Gilbert says this well, she's like, fear loves uncertainty. Like if everything we do as far as auditioning goes, it's an uncertain outcome. We don't know if we're going to get the part, get into the school, if people are going to like us. All those things are uncertain. We have no control over that outcome. So what do we do have control over? So that's one of the ways we can combat fear, is thinking about the process and the things we have control over, the things that we know that we can make go well in the audition, instead of focusing on the outcome. So flipping the script from, I want to get this job, I want people to like me, et cetera, I want to get into the school, to like, what am I certain that I can do in this moment and do well? So that's one of the ways we're going to think about flipping the script from outcome to process and positivity bias. Any thoughts so far? Any questions about what I've said? Anything that needs clarification? All right. Okay, so some tools, and I would like you to write these down, because if Mary, my dog decided it's time to play and he's throwing pillows and stuff at me. Mary didn't mention this yet, but there was something wrong with the website, so no one could sign up to sing. So no one signed up to sing. So if there's anybody who would like to volunteer, there was some website issues. So if you'd like to volunteer, just write your name in the chat. And what we'll do is I'll give you these tools. There are only 8 of them. And I want you to pick one that really resonates with you and then sing something. It could be a cut. It could be a whole song if you have a track, and try one of these tools and see if it helps. All right. So tool number 1, I've been doing this and I have no idea where I got it, but I've been doing it forever. And it's when I first meet a group of people, I have everybody, and with your mute off, you can do this. Say yes, yes, over and over again. Just say yes for me. Yes, 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 yes. Now say no, 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 no. What's the difference in just saying those 2 words? What changes in you? Anybody want to do it again and just think about what changes? You got it? Barbara's got it.
Well, I mean, it's sort of like yes is positive and no somehow is just kind of like it drags you down. The other,
Brings you up. Yeah,
yeah.
it really is that simple. And isn't it crazy that just saying those words completely changes your demeanor and how you feel about yourself? I tell the story like when I was a kid. This is that I think where I first learned to act. If I didn't want to go to school, like I just needed a mental health day, I was a good kid. But some days you just need a day off. So I would like pretend I was sick. I was terrible. I would use the dryer on a thermometer and be like, my temperature's high. It was kind of smart. But then I could make myself feel bad just by like pretending to be sick, which is, one of the major acting techniques out there. It's the action verbs. If you give yourself an action, the emotion starts to follow through. So that's kind of what that is. So that's what the yes is and the no is. So if you're before an audition like this, nervous, you have the body language and a bunch of no inside of you, it's going to be harder to sing your best than if you're actively changing your posture and what you're saying in your mind. Like, yes, I'm going to enjoy this. I've worked really hard. I'm going to do my best for what I can do today, and not worry about the outcome, right? You have no control over what people think of you, but you have control over what you do in the moment. So learning to say yes instead of no. And then this is my new favorite one. I stole it from my yoga teacher. So it's called, it's naming your fear out loud. So you just name it, but the trick is to give the person who's saying your fears and the mean things to you a name. So for example, one of my students, the name for the voice in her head who says awful things to her, his name is Wilhelm, and Wilhelm has a silly voice. Wilhelm thinks she cannot sing a note. She's going to give herself nodes. Like he has this silly voice. And then she doesn't listen to that negative chatter in her head. And my yoga teacher calls it Susan. There's no Susans here, right? I feel bad. But he's like, we do this horrible squat for like 5 minutes. He's like, Susan's in your head telling you can't do this. Well, tell her to go sit in the car. She can't be here. You're good enough. You've got a big enough house. You can do it. He just goes this whole thing for 5 minutes to be like, Susan doesn't know what she's talking about. So that's where I got it. So name the voice in your head, give it a silly voice. So it really helps you see how ridiculous and negative and nasty the way you talk to yourself is. So there's that. And I bet you know what you say to yourself, like, here comes this note that I can't sing. You're not going to be able to sing it. And if you're thinking that negative thought, you're going to do what you're thinking, right? If you're thinking something's not going to go well, it's not going to go well. But if it's silly and you can go, that's a lie, you're lying to me. I know how to do this, and I'm going to focus on something else my teacher has taught me, that I know helps me in this moment. Then you can get rid of that negative talk. Okay, so giving the voice in your head a fun name. I recommend not anybody that you have real emotional trauma with or feelings about, like just a name that makes you think like, one of my students, I think her name is like Veronica, and she talks in vocal fry, and she's just like, you don't know what you're doing. So like, so silly, right? But it really works. The next one, I'm going to share my screen, and some of you may have heard this because it was a famous TED Talk going around. Oh, Mary, you've disabled the screen sharing. Are you around?
I gotcha. You should be ready now.
Awesome. Okay. Oh no.
Is it still not working?
No, it's giving me all this. You need privacy. Okay. Well, I'm just going to tell you rather than show you. You all can hear me still?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, you've all disappeared. It's a new computer. My school finally gave me a new computer. And you all have disappeared. Oh, technology. Back to meeting. There it is. Okay. Okay. So it's just Amy Cuddy's TED Talk. I will put in the chat the link. In her TED Talk, I think she works at Harvard. She's a psychologist, and she worked in the business department, and can you hear my dog being crazy? Here he is. Come here, Pierre. Come here. Say hi. Chill out. Yes, very cute. He'll help you sing better. She talks about the power pose. So it's similar to what we were just talking about with the yes. So our power pose is just literally standing like this. So before an audition, no, dude, I'm busy. Standing like this backstage changes your posture, changes the way you feel inside. So it's a physical form of the yes, no paradigm. So physically standing like you're Superwoman or Superman makes you feel stronger and more powerful. Oh my gosh. There you go. There's your toy. Okay. So the power pose by Amy Cuddy, I will give you that link soon. The next thing I like to say is my second favorite F word, focus. Focus is so helpful for the brain. If you can give yourself clear, achievable goals, like I just talked about, and I tell my students to give yourself 2, because 2 is achievable in an audition or a performance. And I tell them if they, if they're at that level, give yourself 1 technical thing that you're going to focus on that helps you, and then 1 acting goal. And that you can achieve. And then after the audition's over, you feel like it was a success. If your goal is to act perfectly, sing all the notes right, get all your diction right, impress people, they're going to say nice things to you in the room, like all the things that you want to happen, that's too many, right? And it's not achievable probably because you don't know what's happening in those people's lives. You don't know why they're staring at their computer the whole time. You don't want to be thinking about why they're behaving the way they are. You want to be achieving your goals, growing as an artist, right? The things you have control over. Don't have control over outcome, have control of your growth as an artist, right? So there's that. It could be your vocal technique goals, could be anything your teacher tells you that helps you. Like your tongue likes to really pull down on ah vowels. So you're just going to send your tongue forward on every ah vowel in the song. And if you did that on every ah vowel, wouldn't you feel so successful after it was over, right? Rather than getting all the things right and being perfect. So that's a goal. The next one, giving yourself permission to fail. This is extraordinarily difficult in a performance setting. Much easier to practice in a master class or in your own practice. Oh my gosh, you can't have this toy. He never wants to play when I want to play. Okay. So giving yourself permission to fail at your scariest moment. It's okay if you crack, right? So give yourself permission to fail in the big picture, in the macro, but in the micro, don't give yourself permission to fail. Like if you know that you're supposed to think about it's a passaggio issue, or you're supposed to widen your soft palate for this note, don't give yourself permission not to do the technique thing that your teacher has told you to try, that helps. You don't have permission to fail at that. But you have permission not to hit the note right, not to sound great yet, right? Because it takes a while to improve. You're not going to be perfect right away. You have to do a thing over, you have to practice, right? So giving yourself permission to fail or not be perfect, but not giving yourself permission not to focus on one thing that you want to really get your body to do, to train your body to do. All right. So we talked about actively training a positivity bias. So that's just another way just to get better. It's probably not going to be a tool that's useful right now in this moment, but in your whole life, if you practice the positivity bias and constantly in your practice reinforce what's going well, so you're not just beating yourself up all the time, you will enjoy your performances and auditions more. And then finally, to the curiosity idea, I'm just going to read a little paragraph from Amy Cuddy. I mean, not Amy Cuddy, she's the power pose person, Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. She says, when I talk about creative living, please understand that I'm not necessarily talking about pursuing a life that is professionally or exclusively devoted to the arts. I'm not saying that you must become a poet who lives on a mountaintop in Greece, or that you must perform at Carnegie Hall, or that you must win the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. Though if anybody wants to attempt these feats, by means, have at it. I love watching people swing for the bleachers. But no, when I refer to creative living, I'm speaking more broadly. I'm talking about living a life that is driven more strongly by curiosity than by fear. And I get chills every time I read that, because if someone had told me that when I was 20, just be curious about growing as an artist. You're at the beginning of the game, right? If you enjoyed the process of learning how to change your technique, to act, instead of worrying about what people think, or are you good enough, or all those things we think, my life as an artist would have been so much more enjoyable from a much earlier time. And that really is our jobs as creative beings, is to constantly grow, right? My first teacher at IU, Paul Keesgan, used to say, if you were at the end of the journey, Courtney, you'd be bored and you'd want to do something else. I was like, probably, right? It wouldn't be interesting anymore. So that's where the curiosity comes. So being curious about something, about your technique, rather than worried about it. And if you're curious in the moment, it's much easier to make adjustments. For example, on a high note, if you do the wrong thing instinctually because you've done it a million times that way, if you're more curious about how to change it rather than freaking out that you did it wrong again, you're more apt to fix it in the moment and get better at it more quickly than if you constantly beat yourself up. All right. So those are some of my tools that I have my students work on. Does anybody want to try this in practice?
We did have 3 people say they'd like to sing. Sachiko Nicholson, Annika Thacker, and Luz Vizcara. So maybe we could go in that order, Sachiko.
Great. Before we do that, let me respond to some of these things written in the chat.
Yeah.
So Terry says, I was going to say the opposite of fear is safety. That's interesting, right? You feel safe, so you don't feel fear. Yeah. I venture to say that if you're curious about growing, that is the safe way to conquer your fears, right? The not safe way is to let your fears rule you. Sometimes I've been afraid of not being good enough at what I'm doing, especially in international auditions. I've been afraid they will hire much more attractive or advanced people. So if we think about some of the things I just talked about, that's being worried about somebody else and their thoughts, and you can never be in control of that, or that's never going to satisfy you if you pay attention to that. What you can do is worry about your craft and where you're growing and how you're improving, and then you will feel successful at any audition you do. It's not about the outcome. Competitions are notorious for like, this competition likes this kind of singer and this judge likes this, and it's subjective. So it's not about your talent. Or auditions too. Like, when people audition for Broadway and they get to the final callbacks, I'm like, that is a huge success. That you weren't the right puzzle piece has nothing to do with your talent. Clearly you're talented, you're getting to final callbacks, but people take it so hard, so personally when they don't get a job, and it's just not personal, right? It's not about you, it's about their craft. And if you did a good enough job to get you there, then you're doing a great job. What is the best way to manage the frustration? I really think it is this mind shift. It really is shifting the mind from negative to positive. It's not that you don't have things to work on. We all, for the rest of our lives, will have things to work on. And just when you feel like you're getting like this all situated, trouble voices go through menopause and then like things change. So it's like the voice is always growing and changing. There's always something, and there's always something to get better at. And I think that's the beautiful thing of being a creative artist, that you can always grow, dig deeper into the art, the poetry, the story, how you spin high notes, how you work on dynamics. There's always something more to grow. And that should be exciting, not scary, that you have more to do. So really just shifting our mindset is so powerful. And it took me a while to get there. I was the same way. I was always frustrated that I couldn't do a thing instead of enjoying what I could do, which then leads you to something else. And it just gets better and easier from my experience. All right. Was that the last question? Yeah. So let's get to singing. I'm going to mute myself, and you can why don't you tell us your name, what you're going to sing? And if you're comfortable, tell us the tool that you're going to try. And after it's over, guess what? You have to tell me something you liked about it. Okay.
Okay, I think I'm going first. Hi, I'm Sachi. I didn't know I was gonna sing, so sorry. I'm in like a sweatshirt and everything. But I think I'm gonna try. Um, I'm gonna try the power pose because someone else has told me about this before and I never really like believed it, I guess. I was always like, oh, that's kind of funny, that's silly. But yeah. So do I just like do it before I sing?
Yes, you could do it before you sing. You could do it while you sing. If you feel yourself like getting shuffly and worried, right? Because that means like you're not confident, you're not grounded in your breath or whatever it is you're working on. Yeah, do the power pose.
Okay.
And you know, it's a physical way of looking and feeling confident, right? You know, people say fake it until you make it, and it's a joke, but it's true, right? When you're young, you're not a fully formed being. And I don't know how many of you have like watched interviews with actors in their 40s or 50s. They're like, I finally feel like I know what I'm doing. So that to me says they didn't feel that way for a long time. None of us do. CEOs, when they first become a CEO, also have imposter syndrome. They've never been a CEO before. They don't think they can do it. We all feel like imposters, or we're not good enough, or confident enough. So faking it is a valid technique. So this is a good way of creating physical confidence, which makes it easier to breathe and sing and commit to all the things you want to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm just gonna sing a cut of a song, if that's okay. This is The View from Here from Darling by Ryan Scott Oliver. Turning 16 is sweet, so I've seen. Well, maybe next year the view will clear and someone will hold me and give me a kiss like the kind I see. And I'll be prepared and not a bit scared of someone sincere who wishes me near. Someone who'll take me out of you from here.
Yeah. Yay, that was beautiful. Okay, so tell me something you liked.
Well, I can't think of anything.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I like the beginning of it.
What about the beginning of it?
I liked my acting. I mean, like the part where she says, and not a bit scared. I felt like standing in that pose. I was like, I'm not scared at all.
Yeah, it helped your acting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I loved is at the end, you had that little bit where your voice didn't do what you wanted. And then you did this more and it came back in. And we don't care at all that you had a bobble. No one cares. What we care is that you got back in and it was beautiful. So isn't it nice that you have that power to change that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I want to add a thing for you for the power pose plus the idea of where your center of gravity lives. Do you know where your center of gravity is supposed to exist as a human being? Like if you were not nervous or whatever.
I don't know. No, I don't know.
It's supposed to exist 2 inches below your belly button.
Okay.
And what I love about that, it's like if you think about your breathing musculature, it's like halfway between where your diaphragm lives and your pelvic floor is the other, like the bottom of your breathing musculature. So it's like halfway between those two things, which keeps you on your breath. Okay. So if you are keeping your center of gravity, you're not going to shuffle and you're going to feel more confident. So I just want to add that to your power pose, that the power pose is also really grounded and low in your body. So you do it one more time, adding that.
Yes.
And if you feel any moment where you feel, oh no, inside, a no inside, you're going to say yes and ground yourself and stay in that power pose. Yes. everybody. I love that you're making comments. This is what I love to do in masterclasses. And I didn't even tell you to do it. Everybody's saying positive things because there were so many positive things. You have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
I'm curious, what is it that you worry about?
I mean,
If you feel comfortable.
yeah, no, this past year was horrible. I mean, for everyone, I'm sure, but I really struggled with, I was trying to learn how to belt. Like, I'm not really a belter, but that was something I really struggled with. And like every time I practiced, I would just break down because I get so frustrated and I just wouldn't be able to finish. And I recently like auditioned for a bunch of colleges and I wrote my college essay, and I kind of wrote about this in my essay, but I was just writing about how a lot of the things that you talked about, I try to incorporate more into practicing, and it's really helped. But like sometimes I go back to like just getting upset about the way that I sang, and then but now it's easier for me to come out of that because of
Yay. And just so you know, for college auditions, we're not expecting everybody to be able to sing all the things all the ways, and you have a really beautiful mixed sound.
Thank you.
And clearly a nice head voice. So don't feel like you have to also belt your face off. You can learn that in college, right? You can learn how to do, right? Another thing, just like a belter who is really comfortable belting isn't comfortable with their head voice or their classical MT sound. So they're going to have to work on that slowly and not beat themselves up and be patient with the process, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just remember, we're all in the same boat and everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and it's okay to not be great at everything, especially in the musical theater world. Okay.
Okay.
So this time you're going to love that mixed voice of yours. Love that that's what you're really good at. Okay. And ground yourself. Here we go.
Okay. Turning 16 is sweet, so I've seen. Well, maybe next year the view will clear and someone will hold me and give me a kiss like the kind I see. And I'll be prepared and not a bit scared of someone sincere who wishes me near. Someone who'll take me out of view from here.
Oh my goodness. Your center of gravity and grounded comfortableness in your body on that last note was so good. You could do anything you wanted with the color of it. Didn't that feel good?
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you like this time?
Well, one thing that I noticed is when I recorded my auditions and I was like watching back through the videos, I did notice that I like tended to go from foot to foot. So like being able to stay grounded, and I think the cause of me shifting around so much is because I'm uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And so feeling like grounded also helped me feel more comfortable, I guess. And it's easier.
And it looks like you just got more and more confident and comfortable in your own skin with your own talent as you went. It was just so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your voice with us. It was really lovely seeing. What a beautiful voice. Amazing, Sachi. Thank you. Beautifully done.
Thank you.
Terry says she couldn't belt until 4 months ago and she's 40. So see, it's never too late to learn a new muscular action. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, who's next? Annika?
Yeah, I think it's me.
Okay, great.
Sorry, I kind of forgot what I was supposed to say.
Your name, what you're gonna sing, and which tool are you gonna try?
My name is Annika Thacker. I'm a little nervous, so I'm gonna go back to one of my favorite classic songs. I'm gonna sing Lifeboat from Heathers because I love that one.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is a tool maybe, but I'm gonna do the saying yes before, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. So think through the song. Is there a place that you worry in particular?
Yeah, to like the second chorus area.
Okay. And what do you want to say yes to? Be a little specific, like what's gonna go well when you get there.
Sometimes my voice, it doesn't like crack because it's kind of towards the bottom of my range, but or not bottom, but a comfortable area in my range, but
Mhm.
still it's like I feel like my voice doesn't make a smooth transition between notes, and that's something I always worry about when I sing.
So if you worry about it making the transition, you're worried about it going wrong and it goes wrong. It's like, don't think about a pink elephant. Don't do it. Don't think about a pink elephant. Don't do it. You can't not think about a pink elephant, just like you can't not make a mistake if you're worried about a transition. But if you give yourself something to do that's a yes, like in this transition, my teacher told me to keep my breath steady, or in this transition, I'm going to really keep my body open and not squeeze. Like, is there something that you know that you do when you say no, that you could say, yes, I'm going to do the opposite to help myself instead of focusing on the negative?
I think that would probably be breathing for me, because when I get so nervous, I forget to like breathe before I start, and then I end up like picking up a quick breath and just going. Like, I know I said the second chorus, but before that, like just like the fourth line, I think it is like there's a word where it's two notes, obviously, and I don't think I connect them that smoothly, but if I get a better breath, I'm hoping that I can.
Okay, so you're gonna be like, yes, I'm gonna breathe when I get here. So that voice is like, no, 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 this isn't gonna go well. You're gonna be like, yes, I'm gonna breathe. Yes, okay. And you said something about breathing, and I just wanted to tell you, I have a joke with my students. I'm like, if you can just remember one, and it's a joke, I don't get mad. I mean, clearly I'm like all about smiles, right? I say, if there's just one thing you can remember that I teach you when you leave here, is to breathe before you sing. Like, just because people don't, right? They're worried about a million other things, but you know what's going to help it go well? Breathing before you sing. And also, like when you're at an audition, don't you feel like you have to just go, or you're like nervous about time and you don't take time? Like, take
Exactly.
a moment to breathe. It's your audition. You probably paid a fee to the school to do the audition, right? Breathe and like get yourself grounded. Think, a couple goals and like then start, but don't feel in a rush. Always breathe. There's one thing you're learning from me in this masterclass, it's to breathe before you sing. Okay. All right, let's try it.
So just gonna say yes, I'm gonna breathe.
Yes, I'm going to breathe. Yes.
Yes, I'm going to breathe. Okay. I float in a boat in a raging black ocean, blow in the water and nowhere to go. The tiniest lifeboat full of people I know. Cold, clammy, and crowded. The people smell desperate, will sink any minute, so someone must go. The tiniest lifeboat full of people I know. Everyone's pushing, everyone's fighting. Storms are approaching, there's nowhere to hide. If I say the wrong thing or I wear the wrong outfit, they'll throw me right over the side. I'm hugging my knees and the captain is pointing. Well, who made her captain? Still, the weakest must go. Tiniest lifeboat full of people I know. The tiniest lifeboat full of people I know.
Yay! What did you like?
The word I was talking about and I said it was struggling was water, and I think that I fixed it with calming down a little bit and taking a deep breath there.
Yeah. It's that simple. Isn't that crazy? If you just give yourself something to do that's positive, it goes better than if you worry about it going wrong. I know it's so simple, but it's so hard to do because again, we have that negativity bias. We're like ready to fight a lion in our heads when it's just a transition from just our head voice to chest voice, right? It's just not a big deal. It was really beautiful. I love how still you are. And really how flowy everything was. It was lovely.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It really works. In the chat, we've got great job, Annika. It was so lovely. Well done. Good job. Yes, it was great. So talk to me about like how you're going to use that in the future for other songs that maybe you aren't so comfortable with.
So, for a competition, actually, I just sang "Far from the Home I Love," from Fiddler on the Roof. It's such a pretty song, but it starts on an H vowel, so I have to like take a deeper breath so I can like prepare the kind of like upward motion that I think of. Like I usually think of a motion to try to like pronounce the word properly.
Mhm.
So like how I kind of think of like that kind of emotion, and that is like kind of connected to how I'm breathing.
But
But
if you worry about it, you don't breathe and then
exactly,
it can't possibly go the way you want it to, right? Yeah,
yeah.
that breathing. So important. It's what makes the vocal folds go. So if you don't breathe, man, game over. I mean, it's not game over, but it makes the game harder.
Oh yeah.
All right, beautiful. Thank you, Annika.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then we have in the chat.
Yes, let me a second.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so grateful to take this opportunity. This is my first class after a COVID crisis. I had COVID-19 last August. My my dad passed away. Many things are so complicated now in my life, but I really love and enjoy to sing. The tool that I want to practice is the self-control, and I want to present my best area for audition, the Antipalpiti by Tancredi from Rossini. I feel a little the slow, the coloratura, but I know and I try to be conscious about it. That is the first time that I think for something more uh, after COVID crisis.
So
Hope, I
what
hope
helps you with the coloratura? What technique have you worked on that really helps you with your coloratura?
so. First of all, to study note for note, then the phrase, and try to have the support, diaphragm support for coloratura.
Okay.
But after COVID crisis, I feel the coloratura strength.
Is it because of the breathing, you think? It's just a little harder to breathe?
Yes, a little bit hard, but I will sing for you and then I hope
Okay.
to try with this. rivedrò. E poi vedrai mi bacerò, mi rivedrai, mi rivedrò, e poi vedrai mi bacerò, mi rivedrai, ti rivedrò, e poi vedrai mi bacerò, mi bacerò, mi bacerò, mi vedrai, mi
Yay! I'm so sorry that you had to deal with COVID, but you're singing beautifully.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So sometimes when we're we have to sing when we're sick, don't we? And we just are so worried about what we're feeling that we can't tell that you had a problem. But it makes us feel kind of like a lot of no and a lot of worry. So I want you to try the power pose. And will you just I don't know if you're comfortable just starting somewhere in the aria without the track, but if you need the track, go for it. And I want you to sing one of the melismas towards the end, towards the end, and stay in this position, which will help your rib cage stay open and your lungs stay full of air. And the little bit of worry about the notes, or is it going to be precise, is making you a little tight. So let's try this like yes, power energy to see how it helps. You have a melisma in mind to try?
Mi bacerò, mi bacerò, mi bacerò, e vedrai. Oh, yes,
That was better, yes?
yes, and it's
Yes.
I feel more supported.
Yes, you are more supported, right? Because your inhalation muscles are staying active and open, and you have more control of pacing your breath. One more thing, your eyes are still looking in for problems. Your body is more confident, but I want your eyes to be confident as well. So can you like look forward and really like act and don't look for problems? Or if it's going well, stay fully committed the whole time. You ready?
Okay, yes.
Go for it.
Mi bacerò, mi bacerò, mi bacerò. Oh, wow.
I call it singer face when we're like, look like dead eyes, looking inside for all the things that are going wrong, instead of being committed to it going right. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's just a shift of your mindset, and it just makes it so much easier to sing. Beautiful job. Thank you so much. People said it was so great. Thank you for singing. Such a rich sound. Thank you. Is it Luth with a TH?
Yes. No. With D. Luz.
With a T? Lute. Okay.
Luz.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so everybody has sung now. I would love to just open it up to everybody. Any thoughts, any questions before we close out the class? Trying to get to the full screen. Just turn your mute off and just talk away. There it is. Gallery. All right, Mary, do you have anything for us? I have a closing quote, and I'm going to put that Amy Cuddy TED Talk in the chat for everybody. It's really fascinating about body language and how it just changes even our hormones. Like if you start being just walking around more confidently, you get more testosterone. and you start just being more confident. Isn't that crazy? Here is that. There you go. There's that. And then I also wanted to give you my favorite Andre de Shields quote from the Tonys. I don't know if any of you saw that.
Hey, Courtney, did you send that to the whole group? I'm wondering because I don't.
No, it was direct. Oops. Thank you,
Yep.
everyone. Here's the Andre de Shields. And then here's the Amy Cuddy TED Talk. That's so fascinating. And then Big Magic. I really can't recommend it highly enough. Every one of my students who's like going through a time, I'm like, if you read this, you feel better. And then takes a while, but then when they finally do, they're like, why did I wait so long to read this? It's just so beautiful and really just helps you think about a healthy way to a healthier relationship with your creative life. It's really great. So the Andre de Shields quote that I think is so great. He says the 3 things to longevity in the arts. 1, surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when they see you coming. 2, slowly is the fastest way to get anywhere you want to be. And then 3, the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. So keep climbing. And I wanted to add a little bit to that with this whole creativity thing that that when you're a curiosity thing, if you are being curious in the moment, then you're actually enjoying the view as you climb up the mountain instead of just wishing you were at the top. I mean, how miserable is that climb if all you care about is getting to the top instead of enjoying the journey, right? So I just wanted to add that little bit. That's what the curiosity does. It makes you enjoy your present. And then one of my students, when she was reading, she said today in Masterclass, the thing that's really helping me is to know that I am ready to be the person and perform where I am now. Like I'm ready for today. I've done the work. This is who I'm going to be today. I'm not ready for who I'm going to be when I'm on that next mountain or in 10 years, but I'm ready to be who I am today, which doesn't that just like take the pressure off of you? Like you don't have to be something you're not at where you haven't traveled to yet, you know? So thank you for joining me today. I really love sharing my ideas about this. I just see how it's changing my students' lives and how it's changed my life. If you have any questions, please email me at here, I'll give you my email address. That is you. And if there are no questions, I'll turn it back over to, oops. I can't talk and type at the same time. Can any of you do that? I'm not a multitasker. There we go. I'll turn it over to Mary.
Oh, thank you so much, Courtney. This has been so fun. And I love Big Magic. I've totally read that book. It is so fantastic and yeah, definitely worth a read. And for so many different areas of your life too. So thank you everyone so much for being here tonight. This has been a fantastic class and really great tools, really great ways to help us all improve. So thank you. And you guys have a good night.
Thanks so much.